Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. A massive welcome back to Part 3 of our Cloud Computing Roadmap 2026 series. Now, if you've been following along with us, you know that in Part 2, we mapped out those foundational to advanced certification tiers, the ones you really need just to get your foot in the door. We talked about how those badges act as the initial gatekeepers for your resume, right? But today? Well, today we're shifting gears. We are moving off the paper and straight into the terminal. We're going to get into the exact hands-on skills you need to develop and the precise timeline it's going to take to master them.
Section 1. Beyond the certification tiers.
So look, having a shiny certificate is fantastic, but let's have a real talk about the reality of the US job market right now. Transitioning beyond those certification tiers, that is where so many aspiring cloud engineers hit a massive brick wall. You really can't just pass a multiple choice exam and expect top-tier employers to just hand you a high-paying role. I mean, sure, the certificate gets you past the automated HR filters. It absolutely proves you have the vocabulary. But frankly, certifications alone just aren't enough to get you hired anymore. There is this enormous gap between passing theoretical exams and actually executing hands-on labs. On one side, we have theoretical knowledge. It's neat, it's tidy, and it assumes everything works perfectly. But on the other side, we have hands-on labs, and those represent the messy, highly unpredictable reality of actual cloud environments. Because when a production server goes down at 2 a.m., theoretical knowledge does not bring it back online. Practical, hands-on keyboard time does. Employers are actively filtering for candidates who have actually built real things. They want to see your GitHub repositories, they want to see your personal projects, your hands-on lab experience. Basically, they need hard proof that you have the practical muscle memory to solve the exact problems they are facing right now.
Section 2. Essential hands-on cloud skills.
So what exactly should you be building and practicing? I want you to think of this step-by-step breakdown as the architectural blueprint of your entire career. Keep this in the back of your mind as we go through these. Continually building real-world projects and breaking things in a safe lab environment matters infinitely more than just memorizing facts. You absolutely cannot skip these steps. Step 1 is networking basics. Remember, the cloud is literally just a massive network of computers, so you have to understand how things actually connect. We're talking IP addressing, subnets, DNS routing, and firewalls. If you don't know how data moves from point A to point B securely, you simply can't build in the cloud, right? Okay, so step 2 is Linux fundamentals. Make no mistake, Linux is the operating system running the vast majority of the cloud. You need to get incredibly comfortable navigating the command line, managing file permissions, and understanding core system processes. And fair warning here, there is no mouse to save you, just a blinking cursor and the command line. Then we arrive at step 3, which is infrastructure as code specifically using Terraform. Guys, this is a total game changer. You're no longer clicking around manually in a web console to build servers. You are automating the framing of your cloud house by writing declarative code. Code that provisions your infrastructure reliably, repeatedly, and at massive scale. Now, once that foundation is rock solid, you step into the advanced plumbing and electricity of modern cloud infrastructure. First up, you enter the world of containers and Kubernetes. This is exactly how modern applications are packaged, shipped, and orchestrated to handle millions of users seamlessly. Next, you absolutely need to understand CI/CD pipelines. That's continuous integration and continuous deployment. Think of this as the automation engine. It takes a developer's code, tests it automatically, and safely deploys it into production without a human ever having to intervene and, potentially make an error. And finally, we have monitoring and cost optimization. US employers desperately need engineers who can not only keep the systems running, but also optimize USD costs. Cloud bills can spiral out of control instantly. Literally, a single misconfigured Lambda function or a forgotten database cluster can accidentally burn $10,000 overnight. If you can prove that you know how to set up intelligent monitoring alerts and optimize resource allocation to save a company thousands of dollars every single month, you make yourself completely invaluable.
Wait, freeze for a second. Stop taking notes and just take a breath. We just threw a massive, super intimidating amount of technical jargon at you, didn't we? Terraform, Kubernetes, CI/CD pipelines, DNS routing. It sounds completely overwhelming. You might be sitting there right now looking at the screen thinking, there's absolutely no way one person can learn all of this. You might even feel that imposter syndrome creeping in. So let's ask the million-dollar question to break this tension. But how long does this actually take? Let's ground ourselves back in reality for a second. You aren't going to learn this in a weekend. And honestly, any bootcamp promising you a senior cloud role in 4 weeks is just selling you a fantasy.
Section 3. The 18-month mastery timeline.
This is a chronological, highly structured journey. You have to give yourself grace and time here. We are going to map out exactly how to stack these skills over the next year and a half. It is a marathon, not a sprint, and structuring your learning in these specific phases is really the absolute only way to actually retain this complex information and avoid total burnout. Let's walk through this timeline progressively so you have a crystal clear, actionable roadmap. For your first 3 months, your exclusive, hyper-fixated focus on foundations. Do not even look at Kubernetes yet. Just bury yourself in networking basics and the Linux command line. Set up virtual machines, learn how they talk to each other, and get really comfortable breaking and fixing basic servers. Then, by the 6-month mark, you transition into infrastructure as code. You'll spend this quarter mastering Terraform. Your goal here is to take everything you built manually in those first 3 months and figure out how to automate it using code. You are building critical muscle memory for provisioning cloud resources automatically. At the 12-month mark, you enter the advanced orchestration phase. You now have a solid year of basics and automation under your belt, so you are actually ready to tackle the hard stuff. This is where you learn how to containerize applications and manage them with Kubernetes. You're also building out those CI/CD pipelines to automate your deployments from end to end. Finally, the 18-month mark brings you to job-ready mastery. This final 6-month stretch is all about real-world application. You are implementing advanced monitoring tools, tracking system health, and mastering cost optimization strictly in USD. By month 18, you aren't just reciting textbook theory, you possess a dense portfolio of hands-on labs and automated projects that prove to hiring managers that you can architect, secure, and financially optimize their actual cloud environments.
Section 4. Preparing for Part 4.
Listen, if you actually commit to this 18-month roadmap, you are going to absolutely transform your career trajectory. Look at what we've covered today. You've made it through the hardest part of the strategic planning phase, understanding exactly what skills actually matter to hiring managers and the precise, realistic timeline required to master them without completely burning out. You should be incredibly proud and excited about the solid foundation you are about to build. But this journey isn't quite over yet. In Part 4, which is the final part of this Explainer series, we are covering the fastest-growing specializations in the cloud computing market right now, and exactly what you need to do immediately after watching this series. We're going to explore where the massive industry demand is heading so you can perfectly position yourself for the future. So, take these 18-month timeline notes and start firing up your hands-on Linux and networking labs today. But before you click over to that next part, I want you to ask yourself something. Are you willing to be a builder who actually gets their hands dirty, or will you just stay trapped in tutorial hell? The choice is entirely yours. We'll see you in Part 4.
Welcome back to the highly anticipated finale of our 4-part Explainer series. If you've been with us through the first 3 parts, you know we spent a lot of time pouring the concrete for your cloud foundation. But today we're taking the elevator straight to the penthouse. We're going to dive into the absolute highest-paying cloud specializations in the US market right now, and look at the exact steps you need to claim them. It's a fascinating look at where this industry is really heading.
Here is our agenda for today. First, where we left off. Second, top-paying cloud specializations. Third, the scarcity premium. Fourth, the complete cloud journey. And fifth, your next action step. Let's jump right in.
Starting with Section 1, where we left off, anchoring back to your foundation.
We are picking up right where we left off in Part 3 with that hands-on skills timeline. Remember that intensive schedule we mapped out? Getting into the console, spinning up actual servers, breaking things, and then figuring out how to fix them? Well, we're moving forward today, assuming you've been putting in that sweat equity. Because honestly, you can't just leapfrog straight to the massive salaries without getting your hands dirty first. That timeline was your boot camp. And now, we are officially ready to look at the specialized forces.
Which brings us to Section 2, the top-paying cloud specializations, truly the pinnacle of the 2026 market. Okay, look at these numbers. The financial ceiling we're talking about here is just staggering. In the US market right now, the GCP professional data engineer commands a median salary of $172,000. And remember, that's just the median, meaning half the people doing this are making even more than that. Right on its heels is the AWS machine learning specialty track, sitting at $168,000. Why? Because data and machine learning are literally the engines driving corporate profitability today. Companies are sitting on mountains of data, desperately trying to train AI models and predict market trends. They absolutely need cloud architects who don't just know basic infrastructure, but who can actually engineer the complex data pipelines and ML environments on Google Cloud and AWS to make all that magic happen. But hey, data and ML aren't the only heavy hitters. Cloud security, specifically through the CSSP path, that's the Certified Cloud Security Professional, stands out as the third massive pillar for top-tier compensation. And it makes total sense, right? The more data these companies hoard and the more ML models they deploy, the bigger target they become for cyber threats. A massive data breach in 2026 isn't just a slap on the wrist. It can tank a company's stock and destroy its reputation overnight. Nobody wants to be the CEO on the evening news apologizing for losing millions of passwords. Security is front and center. So, experts holding a CSSP who can actually lock down these complex, multi-cloud environments, they are practically writing their own paychecks. Let's move to Section 3, the scarcity premium, and the economics of these high salaries. What's really fascinating here is this concept called the scarcity premium. It shows us that these huge salaries, those 172K figures, aren't just random numbers plucked out of thin air by generous HR departments. The scarcity premium is essentially the massive financial compensation that employers are absolutely forced to pay simply because they cannot find enough specialized talent out there to meet their business-critical needs. It's basically Economics 101 applied to high-tech skills. To put that into perspective, let's break down the supply and demand. On the supply side, you have an extremely low number of legitimately certified data, machine learning, and CCSP security experts. Getting these credentials is tough. It takes rigorous study and deep, hands-on experience, which naturally filters out the casual learners. But on the demand side, the employer need is massive and it's urgent. Every Fortune 500 company, every ambitious startup, they're all fighting over the exact same tiny pool of talent. When you have 3 multi-billion-dollar companies bidding on the same AWS machine learning expert, well, the salary naturally skyrockets. That is the scarcity premium in action. And honestly, that's exactly the position you want to be in, being the scarce resource. All right, Section 4, the complete cloud journey. Let's synthesize this into your ultimate blueprint. Here is your complete 4-step blueprint to dominating the 2026 cloud market. Let's recap the whole journey we've been on across this explainer series. Step 1, understand the landscape and platforms. You assess AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud and make an informed choice. Step 2, follow the certification path. You lock in those foundational and associate level certs to prove your baseline competence and get past the HR filters. Step 3, master the hands-on skills over that intensive timeline we gave you, stepping out of the textbooks and actually building real-world projects. And finally, Step 4, you attain those elite specializations we just covered and tap into that massive scarcity premium. Now, I really need to emphasize this. Parts 1, 2, and 3 are the absolute prerequisites for claiming the rewards of Part 4. You can't just wake up tomorrow, having never logged into a cloud console, and decide you're going to be a GCP professional data engineer making 170 grand. Well, actually, scratch that. You could decide to, but you definitely wouldn't pass the technical interview. The high-end specialties are the skyscraper, but those first 3 steps, that's your concrete foundation. If you don't have a rock-solid grasp of basic networking, storage, compute, and IAM, the whole thing just collapses when things get technical. Finally, Section 5, your next action step, because execution starts right now. We've given you the map, we've given you the timeline, and we've shown you the incredible financial targets, but none of it matters without immediate action. So here is your highly specific directive for today. Pick one platform, just one, and officially register for your first foundational certification exam today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Go to the website, pick a date 30 or 60 days out, put down your credit card, and lock it in. Having that hard deadline staring back at you on your calendar creates instant urgency. It turns this whole plan from a passive daydream into an active reality. Over these 4 parts, we've completely decoded the 2026 cloud landscape, taking you from foundational basics all the way to the top-tier scarcity premium. The entire roadmap is right there in front of you. So the only question left to ask yourself is this. In a market that is absolutely desperate for elite talent, will you be the one they're forced to pay, or will you just be watching from the sidelines?